So if you're in the market for a new tablet, generally speaking, most people default to the iPad. It is a solid and safe bet, but if you're willing to sacrifice some of the Apple ecosystem features like AirDrop, for example, you should definitely check out this. It is the new Oneplus Pad 2. So watch this video and let me know if you're the type of person who would be happy with these trade-offs. So let's begin. Here are 10 reasons why the Oneplus Pad 2 might be the better tablet for you when compared to the similarly priced iPad Air. So at launch, the price point on the Oneplus Pad 2 in the UK is $449, and that's for the 256 gig version with 12 gig RAM. Now this is already a big win for the OnePlus alternative, as the base model on the iPad Air costs £150 more, and with that one, you get half the storage at 128 gig and a third less RAM, with it just having 8 gigs. So is that a deal breaker? Well, it does depend on whether you'd use that extra storage on the OnePlus, and also you need to ask yourself the question, how important is backgrounding and multitasking to you? Because this brings me nicely on to number 2. It is, of course, OnePlus's class-leading multitasking UI. They call it the OnePlus Open Canvas, and many people consider this to be the best implementation of split screening to date, and I agree. On the OnePlus Pad, you can simply just swipe down with 2 fingers in the middle of the screen to quickly slice the screen and add additional apps. And unlike a lot of the other split screen user interfaces out there, the windows aren't locked in position on the screen. You can actually place up to 3 apps and navigate between them as if you had one large canvas. And it is very seamless, and it does make Apple's Stage Manager look a bit clunky. So while we're talking about looks, the most important aspect on any tablet is the display. The iPad, being more expensive at $599, surprisingly has just an 11-inch display. That makes it smaller in comparison to the OnePlus Pad 2 by over an inch on the diagonal axis. And its refresh rate is 60 Hz, which is okay for general browsing and productivity and movies. But then on the other hand, for £100 less, you get a bigger 12.1-inch display that supports up to 144 Hz, making it twice as fast, and it can adjust between 144 Hz and 30 Hz in steps. And it's brighter too by around 100 nits. And on top of that, it's also more pixel dense, with this 3K display having 303 pixels per inch compared to the 264 seen on the iPad. Now, one thing to note here is that you can get a higher refresh rate iPad, but then you're going to be looking at the Pro models and potentially spending upwards of £1,000. So this is an interesting one. It's the audio. The iPad actually has 4 speakers in a stereo format, and some people say that sometimes the audio only comes out of 2 of those. And the sound is decent. They're good quality speakers from Apple, as you would expect. But for less money, you get more speakers on the OnePlus Pad 2. The Pad 2 actually has 6 speakers, which makes audio more immersive and makes it less likely to completely muffle the sound with your hands when playing games. And it's got an interesting hollow audio feature, which is kind of like a spatial audio EQ, which you can toggle on and off within the settings. So let's talk about speed and power. Apple devices are always formidable when it comes to silicon because they make their own chips and they're really tailored for the hardware that's used in the iPad. Now, with that said, the current iPad Air that you can buy on the Apple Store is rocking the M2 chip, which is fantastic. I have no complaints about it. But if you consider the fact that it's 2 generations behind their latest and greatest chip, and you compare that to the OnePlus Pad 2, which has the most powerful and most up-to-date flagship chip from Qualcomm in 2024, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it is an interesting comparison. Now, you could make a good case for the OnePlus Pad 2 being more powerful than the iPad Air at this current time, but it is hard to compare them by benchmarks. But one thing is for certain, they do call the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 the Titan of AI for a reason. As you know, humans have entered the age of AI, a new era, and while we're still in control of it, it's definitely something that can give you an advantage if you have it. And I guess you already know what I'm going to say. At this point in time, a lot of AI features aren't actually native to iOS just yet, but they will be soon, probably with the new update. But at the time of this video, the OnePlus Pad 2 does have a proper chipset to support it, maybe even beyond what the M2 is capable of. And there are various ways to use it. For example, you can summarize voice recordings. There's also AI image editing within the Photos app. And in the future, we're likely to see the AI writer and AI assistant being able to read websites and things like that as well. So these kind of features definitely carry a lot of weight. And maybe the OnePlus Pad 2 will be more future-proof when it comes to more AI features. Now let's talk about the weight. A tablet is something that you're likely to carry around with you in a bag, and while the iPad Air certainly isn't heavy, as the Air in the name suggests, the fact is it is heavier than the OnePlus Pad 2 by over 30 grams. And that doesn't sound like much, but once you start throwing on cases and keyboards, the gap in weight begins to widen even more. Now check this out, I am a fan of Apple accessories. They're really well built and stylish, and they work fantastically well. But as all things Apple are, they're pretty damn expensive too. The iPad Air Magic Keyboard, for example, is 300 quid here in the UK. That's a lot of money. Now the OnePlus Pad Smart Keyboard, on the other hand, is half the price, and you may even get it thrown in for free if you time your purchase right, and it's actually a very nice keyboard case. It's got the classic kickstand at the back that works even on your lap. The key sizes and key travel are much better than I expected, and the size of the trackpad is huge, and it does support multi-finger gestures and things like that. Honestly, this thing is brilliant, and it also introduces an NFC contact point for pairing your phone or devices quickly to the tablet. And if you have a OnePlus phone, you can tap your phone on the NFC point to quickly screen mirror to the tablet, and then actually drag and drop between your phone and the tablet. And then there's this, the Apple Pencil alternative for the OnePlus. This thing is decent, and it's got some pretty advanced features to it. A couple of the things I really like about this pen is it actually has motors inside, so when you're drawing, it actually gives you feedback as if you're drawing on a textured surface. And there's also touch control, so if you tap the end, you can toggle between the eraser and your pen tool, and it does magnetically charge across the top. And something else that's pretty cool about the keyboard is it actually works even when disconnected from the pogo pins, so you can place your tablet somewhere and have the keyboard resting on your lap, for example. Now let's talk about the cameras. It's hard to say which one is better in this area, so here are a few side-by-side pictures taken on the iPad and also the OnePlus Pad, so you can decide for yourself. And for most people, the reality is that the cameras on tablets are not really for taking beautiful photography. They're more for conference calls than they are for content creation. Now this is a big one for me and for a lot of other people. It's the customization options. If you're familiar with Android, you'll know you can place your apps pretty much anywhere, but you can also customize the look and feel of the UI. You can customize the app shapes and the animations, and this is just something that Apple refuses to do for some reason. And I am just skimming the surface of the options you have here. There really are so many, but what I'm getting at is you get the freedom to really play with the system and make it your own. And if you are coming over from Apple, the flexibility you get with Oxygen OS might surprise you. And here's the last one. It is the battery size. The battery size on the iPad is decent, it's big enough, but on the OnePlus Pad 2, it's more than 1000 mAh larger. And on top of that, the charger that you will get with the OnePlus Pad 2 supports 67 watt fast charging, making it more than twice as fast as the iPad. And of course, this will save you time, and as you know, nobody can give you your time back.
Can you give me back my time? Can you give my time back to me? Huh? Can you?
So those are the 10 points to be considered. If you're an Apple person, would you be happy with these trade-offs? Or is there something that makes you want to stick with the iPad offering other than the brand logo? If so, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested. And if this video did help you decide to go with the OnePlus Pad 2 over the iPad, then that means you've just saved around 100 quid. So if you wouldn't mind, lend us some money. Okay, I'm only joking. I'd be happy with a like and a subscribe. That won't cost you a penny, but it does mean a lot to me, and I would appreciate that. So let me know what you guys think of the OnePlus Pad. If you want a follow-up video, let me know in the comments. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.